everyone. I'm Andrea, coming to you from Knit LA. I love to talk about everything wool, knitting, crocheting even sometimes. And I thought I would do a deep dive on one of my recent sweaters called the Spun Flora by Wool&Pine. I got a lot of inquiries and questions through my Ravelry messages, and because it wound up looking so different from the original, with the exception of the motif, of course, I thought it would be fun to just kind of take it apart and let everybody know how I made it this shape, which is a very cinched in puff sleeve version of this sweater. And I'll just turn around so you all can see. I love it so much. So I'll try and show you a photo of the actual motif. Here it is. I think it's related to the Antique Flora, which is also by Wool&Pine. And this one was made specifically for hand spun, and it's, I believe, a DK weight gauge. It is 24 stitches per 4 inches on a US 6. So that, to me, with the bigger needle, kind of creates that gauge. Now, the yarn I got, which just fell off my little table, one second. Hi. So I knew I wanted to use a color shifting yarn for the background of the sweater. And I chose, because I had never worked with but adore these two women so much, Junction Fiber Mill. And they're making tracks. The colorway is called January Nights. And this is marketed as a heavy DK. Each skein is 200 grams. I didn't really know what a heavy DK meant, but this is actually, I think, could be worsted for sure. It is very plump and round and very beautiful, but I might not choose to use this for a DK project ever again. So I got my beautiful skeins from Junction Fiber Mill. And I also knew that I wanted to use my Nutiden because it has been, I don't know, it had been quite a long time since I've used some of it. And I have a beautiful, beautiful stash full of amazing unspun yarn. So, and I really love when I'm doing colorwork motifs to actually create texture and dimension. And I've used all different kinds of yarn to achieve that. So I knew the Nutiden was going to be really cozy. I did hold this unspun yarn double, and I think that was a mistake in hindsight. Well, not really a mistake, because I love the finished version, but this was already a sweater I could not get gauge on. And I think I was at a size 4 needle, because the size 3, I could barely, you know, the fabric was just so dense and so unpleasant. So I used it double. I think I made that decision because the actual wool was very frail. So I'm just knitting around. The thing you do first is you cast on actually this part of the collar, and you just go immediately into the color work. So that was great. I made the size 2. And let's see. So by the time I had completed the yoke and split for sleeves, I blocked it. And I mean, it was just so beautiful, but I kind of looked at it on the hanger for about a day, and it had so much structure, and it was obviously much bigger than it was supposed to be. And it really reminded me of a sweater that I had saved from Pinterest. And if I'm able, I'm gonna either at the end or whatever, include it just so you can see what I'm talking about. But it was also a very kind of structured sweater. It had this shape. It had like a poof sleeve and then cinched in at the waist. So I just thought that looked really good. And it totally fits with my wardrobe. And I was totally excited to do this. And so what I did, basically, I have notes. So what I did, was I decided, I think my original count of stitches needed to be reduced by 5 inches in order for me to get a good cinched in waist. So I went down a needle size to size 3 after the motif. I knit a couple of rows just to kind of make sure that would fit. And then I continued, I changed to a size 4. So I think there's a few rows, maybe 10 rows in the size 3, where it's just knitting in the round stockinette. And then when I got to the ribbing, I thought that was a great way to kind of really bring it in, but also be able to wear it and not be too tight. So I think I did a 2x2 rib using the size 3 needle, and I went down by 42 stitches because of my gauge. I think I was only getting about 5 stitches per 1 inch. And it's quite different from what the actual pattern reads. So I did the math to do that, and it came out to be 42 stitches. And that's when I used Google to figure out the rate of decreases. Obviously I wanted to do it totally evenly, and that was really handy because I was able to input the current number of stitches less the amount that I wanted to decrease in, and it gave me the plan for how to separate out the decreases so it was evenly distributed. That was amazing. So I did that. The body of the sweater was done. I decided to pick up the neckline, and the neckline in the original is actually just a very casual, pretty roll neck. I think it's a couple of rows of stockinette, and it just kind of naturally rolls over. I wanted to kind of keep the same, I wanted it to be more structured on the top. I wanted it to mimic the ribbing that's on the waistline. So I did ribbing here. I think also 2x2 ribbing on a size 3 needle. When it came to my sleeves, I made the same decision. I also reduced the sleeve count using the same calculations, and figured out how many sleeve stitches I needed to go down and how to do that evenly. And then I just knit 2x2 ribbing, really just kind of until I was trying it on constantly, until I felt happy with where the sleeve placement, where the cuffs ended. So this can be done with any sweater, by the way. And this was a really happy accident, but it definitely opened up in me like that, you know, because I'm not creating these kind of motifs, and I'm not a sweater designer. And I appreciate so much the beautiful sweaters, especially colorwork sweaters that are available to us. But it's also nice to affirm that the knitting is your own. And if you're suddenly inspired to do something else midway, you absolutely can. And I am just thrilled with the result. And it's just perfectly, has this cute little puff sleeve. The Nutiden is just, I don't know the colorway. Somebody did, in my previous podcast, did tell me the colorway, which I really appreciate. But, and I'll get kind of close. You can sort of see how dimensional the color work is in the unspun. And this is true if you use like, Odang has a DK weight that I've used for color work that is so stunning. It's fluffy. It kind of, I don't want to say dilutes the color work, but it really kind of gives it this little bit fuzzy, blurry edges, which to me, that's very appealing. Anyway, so that's my Spun Flora. And if anybody has any questions, I really hope you'll reach out in the comments and let me know if there's something I left out. If you want like my specific numbers for my size, I would be happy to share them with you. Maybe message me through Instagram. Okay, so I hope everybody's staying sane and that you're knitting away. Okay, all my love.